Welcome to Recovery Church, everyone. It's great to have you with us this evening. Tonight we're going to have Charles Savage Kingsman, who's an overseer for Broken Chains in Ayrshire. Charles is going to be sharing with us what God has done in his life, but he's also going to share with us the importance of 12-step Christ-centred recovery. But first, we're going to remind ourselves why we do Recovery Church with a preamble. Recovery Church meets today because a group of people realised that being willing to share their experience of life and hope can help them, and help others grow in life and hope too. This is especially the case for those who have admitted we are powerless to a particular substance or way of life. Recovery Church believes that all of us are recovering from something. For some, that has meant recovery from an addiction to a particular substance and pattern of living. For others, it simply means recovering from life with its hurts, habits and hang-ups. Life that at times has seemed empty and hopeless. Recovery Church is not a substitute for other groups and fellowships. We encourage our people to remain in those groups. Rather, we are here to help one another explore the shared belief that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to life, peace and sanity. We believe that our recovery is strengthened as we come to know God and as we turn our will and life over to Him every day. Recovery Church therefore focuses on exploring and discovering the power of faith, hope and love with others who want to know this power greater than ourselves. But Recovery Church is a church. It is a spiritual home and lifestyle that seeks to understand and know God through Jesus Christ. It is a Christian church in which all are welcome, whether with faith, other faith or no faith. Our primary purpose is to help people find life and freedom in faith, hope and love with others who long for the same. Welcome to Recovery Church.
There is an endless song echoes in my soul. I hear the music ring, and though the storms may come, I am holding on to the rock I cling. How can I keep from singing your praise? How can I ever say enough? How amazing is your love? How can I keep from shouting your name? I know I am loved by the King, and it makes my heart want to sing. I will lift my eyes in the darkest night, for I know my Savior lives, and I will walk with you, knowing you'll see me through, and sing the songs you give. How can I keep from singing your praise? How can I ever say enough? How amazing is your love? How can I keep from shouting your name? I know I am loved by the King, and it makes my heart want to sing. I can sing in the troubled times, sing when I win. I can sing when I lose my step and fall down again. I can sing 'cause you pick me up, sing 'cause you're there.
Hi everybody, my name's Charles Savage Kingsman, and Alec Goldfarb, my friend, has asked me to do a testimony, 7 to 10 minutes he said, so I'm grateful for an opportunity to share the great things that God's done in my life. I was brought up in Glasgow, and I moved down in the Glasgow overspill to Irvine at the age of 8. And I was dyslexic at the school. You know, my mum loved me, and you know, I never had my biological dad wasn't there for us when I was wee. You know, and I felt as though that was something that kind of affected me a wee bit, but didn't make me an addict or anything, you know. But I ended up being involved in stuff as a youngster down in Irvine, and I found out I was dyslexic, so I didn't like the school, and I started to get involved in other stuff like dogging the school and going away stealing, and I ended up in a proof school at the age of 14. Got 2 years in there. There was a lot of abuse in there that was really bad. Never happened to me sexually unless I was drugged at the time, but it happened to the other boys, and it wasn't nice either, you know. But I got out of there about the age of 16, and I was starting to get more involved in crime and stuff like that. In and out of prison, I was involved in the Rangers casuals, the Rangers soccer babies, they were called at the time. And because I was from Glasgow, I would travel up and down on a Saturday and be involved in the soccer hooliganism and looting shops and all that kind of stuff, you know. And I was quite... there was a lot of us involved in that. One of the good things I done was I was a wee bit of a break dancer. I used to do the break dancing. It was up at Glasgow in the Plaza, and I done that and was involved in a crew called the Laser City Crew, who was one of the best in Scotland. So that's my kind of claim to fame, being in the telly, Pebble Mill and One, and reporting Scotland back in the day when it was only 4 channels. But I get deeper and darker into stuff. You know, when I took chemicals, be it gas, be it glue, anything, I liked the effect of it. It took me out of myself because of different feelings I had. And I went down that route of taking substances, cocaine. I loved cocaine, I loved ecstasy. The ecstasy scene hit Scotland, and I was a good dancer, as I said. I loved to dance. I was quite popular because I'd been involved in the soccer hooliganism across Ayrshire. And that was, when that hit, that was something that I thought, I have arrived. You know, when I went to the dancing, the Metropolis and Saltcoats was open, the Metro. So I get really involved in that and the drug scene, you know. But one of the things is, you say, you don't get high in your own supply. And many of us did, you know, and having an addictive nature for the breakdancing, I ended up involved in drugs, you know, ecstasy, you know, up dancing all night, and even the gangs that didn't get on with each other were all cuddling each other, and it was peace and love. There was a lot of skullduggery and things that was going on, but there was a kind of, you know, it was a kind of hundreds of thousands of youngsters across Scotland were into the dance scene. But it didn't stop there for me. It went into other things. It went into violence. It went into drug gangs. It went into wars with other drug gangs. Some really dark stuff that I'm not proud of. You know, I've wept over some of the things I've done. You know, I was at the end of my addiction when I was really bad. I was going and hurting people for money, you know, to get acceptance for the gang. Because I was an addict, they hated heroin and that. They were more into cocaine and making a lot of money, Rolex watches and going abroad and all the kind of big names, you know. And so I had to hide my addiction, you know. And so what I done is I thought if I was more violent, then they would still respect me and love me. And it's a horrible, dark place to be. You know, I lost my wee sister, wasn't a drug overdose, beautiful girl, loved to dance and everything like that, and she died with she'd been taking cocaine, crack cocaine, and that broke my heart. I couldn't look after my wee son. I love him. In fact, I was speaking to him yesterday when my team won yesterday, so we were all happy, and I love the boy. You know, he's got a great job now, but when he was wee, it broke my heart not being able to be the dad that I wanted to be, you know. And with this, I'd been to some 12-step meetings, which I love, and I nearly died taking cocaine. And in this experience that I had, I knew that I wasn't going to a nice place because of the damage I'd done to people. As I says, I'd done many things that I was ashamed of, you know, all sorts of things. And I cried out to God as I was dying. You know, I was taking cocaine and I was saying, God, 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 because I knew I wasn't going to a nice place, and I knew I could have died with what I was putting into the thing that I was taking. And in that experience, something happened. I felt a peace come on me. I felt that God answered. I could also feel the darkness about me. We had a drug-induced fit, and I smashed on my head, and I went to hospital. I nearly got my legs amputated at that time in my life. That was the turning point for me. My wee sister was dead. I couldn't be the dad to my wee son I wanted to be. And I also, you know, was going to get my legs amputated. And I thought I was too cool for all that. You know, I thought I was cooler than anybody else that was addicts, because I had a Stone Island jacket, or I had a Rolex watch. There was times I had nothing and I would do anything for drugs, but there was times, because I was a drug dealer, that I could make money. And what I done was I cried out to God. I cried out to God. When I was wee, I went to the BBs, and it was that God I cried out to Jesus. I didn't use the name Jesus, but then I went to meetings, 12-step meetings, and I started to get well. And I started to find out that I could not use drugs safely. And I accepted totally that I was powerless. Now I'd been to rehabs, I'd had implants in, where you paying thousands of pounds to get out, selling more drugs so I could get an implant in. And I tried everything. I was in everything bar the brownies, trying to get clean. And the 12-step meetings worked for me, so I thank God for them. But then they said, seek the higher power. And when I started seeking the higher power, it came back to me about God being Jesus, you know, for the BBs. And a wee Christian guy, was the best man at my wedding, me, Del Boy, asked me to come to church. And I was 30 days clean and sober, and I asked Jesus into my life. This guy was speaking this night about the prodigal son. He says he was in the pig pen, he was doing things that he didn't like doing, and I'd been hurting folk for money. I couldn't look after my wee boy. That lifestyle, I thought it was a champagne lifestyle, and it was all a sham, and it left me in pain, you know. And I was like that prodigal son who'd went astray when I was a wee boy at the BBs, and I'd done some terrible bad things. I'd actually done a 5th step in my programme, and I'd confessed my sins. But then I'm in a church, 30 days clean, and I'm still getting primed to take over in the gang. And I needed real power. And he said, Jesus loves you. He's 100-fold God. Come out and ask him into your heart. And I went that night and I run right out. I was going to sit down and my pal said, come on. And I knew that God had spoke to me in that church. I actually thought it was a setup that night, because he spoke that much. He spoke about the devil stopped me from getting there. And I'd been to my psychiatrist and says the devil had a hit on me and all this. And he gave me tablets. So what I'm saying is, that night I asked Jesus into my life, and my life's changed. God has taught me how to read, you know. That's been a huge thing for me. I couldn't read before. I was dyslexic, and he's taught me how to read. I've taken funeral services, I've preached in churches. I've now got a job full-time in ministry, overseeing the work of Broken Chains, which we work well with your church through Alec and others. We see Road to Recovery. We've got anything for 25 to 50 on it on a Wednesday through COVID. We go in and feed the people that are struggling in the streets. I've got a lovely wife, my family, and you know, I'll share this before I'm not take up too much time. My wee sister, because we were a family, a lot of my family were involved in it. Some of them weren't, and they were brilliant. But my wee sister got 13 years after I asked Jesus into my life, and I really got out of that lifestyle. Nothing to do with it. I finished. I gave away my Rolex watch to my brother-in-law. Knew he's 5 years sober, and so I get out of it 100%. So when I get out of it, I started to pray for my wee sister. She got 13 years. Now she's out in 8 months' time, and I prayed and I said, God, I was hoping she got a wee sentence. 13 years she got. And he said, my ways are higher than your ways, Charles. My ways are not your ways. And as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than yours. And as the snow come down the mountains, and it feeds the plants and gives seed for the sower, my word will not return to me void. And about a year ago, I prayed for my sister all the way through. About a year ago, she asked Jesus into her life. And she's phoning me all the time. And all she wants to talk about is Jesus now. You know, my uncle's heavy involved in Cocaine Anonymous. He's 7-8 year clean. My brother-in-law that I gave the Rolex to is 5 years sober and clean. So Jesus is absolutely amazing. You know, I wish he's well at the Recovery Church. I wish he's well at the Nazarene up in Glasgow. I love what you do. And we're fighting a good fight. You know, I thank God for my testimony, and I hope if you're struggling with anything today, ask Jesus into your life. Speak to the team and ask him in. He's not a fairy tale. He's a mighty God. And his Father will come in, his Spirit will come in and live in your heart and give you the freedom to break any addiction. I'll finish with this. There's no high like the Most High. I've tried everything there is, and there's nothing better than spending 10-15 minutes with God. He loves you, and so do I. God bless.
All these pieces broken and scattered, in mercy gathered, mended and whole, empty-handed but not forsaken. I've been set free. I've been set free. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, I can see you now. I can see the love in your eyes, laying yourself down, raising up the broken to life. You take our failure, you take our weakness, you set your treasure in jars of clay. So take this heart, Lord, I'll be your vessel, the world to see your life in me. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, I can see you now. Oh, I can see the love in your eyes, laying yourself down, raising up the broken to life.
Welcome, Charles, to Recovery Church.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Sally.
joining us tonight. We've got a few questions for you. The first question is, please tell us about some of the recovery focused work you do at Broken Chains.
Oh, thanks, Charlene. It's great to be with you guys. And Alec, be with you and with your church. I've got a high respect for your church up there in Parkhead, you know, and a few other guys that are heavy involved with us when we done trips. You know, we've got funding to get trips up to you guys, and when the legislation permits, we'll be up again because we love partnering with you. And some of the guys that came up through Adela coming down are saved. You know, there's one wee couple, the guy gets saved. He came to your church, Recovery Church, and just after it, that Sunday, I got Adele to come down, and he gave his heart through the back. His name's Barry, actually, and then he met a lovely lassie, and he's married and all that, and the two of them are serving God together. So we love you guys. We love what you do, but you know, usually in the recovery circles, I'm in recovery myself, so I came through the normal 12 steps, which I love and I think are absolutely amazing. But 30 days into my work in my programme, for being a maniac drug dealer and in about all sorts of crime, I knew God had sent me to the meetings. But after I get clean, 30 days into that, I asked Jesus into my life. And I went to a church and I heard the gospel and I get filled with God's Spirit. So God's, you asked me about broken chains. For years I've served him, and then he's gave us the pleasure of serving in a charity called Broken Chains in Ayr, down in Ayr. It was started by my friend years ago, who was another recovering drug addict. So we have about, it's no big in numbers, but there's probably about 40 to 60 on a Tuesday and a Sunday, all kind of people that struggle in life, eating disorders, addiction to heroin, whatever substances, and people that are maybe homeless, they struggle in life, and we like Tuesday welcome them in. We feed them, we love them, and we share a message. We do a wee Bible study, give them clothes and everything on a Tuesday, and then on a Sunday, it's like church for the unchurched. You know, we're not a church because we plug into other churches, as in we work with all the different churches, but we bring them to Broken Chains, and we cook teas and coffees, and we share a testimony, or we share the word of God, you know, relevant to them, and they start to feel loved, they feel valued, and then they get Jesus into their life. But when we're doing this, we started a meeting called Road to Recovery, which is a Christ-centered meeting. And that's been going for years. And it's like the 12 steps that we work, but it's Jesus-centered, you know. And from the pandemic happened, this has been one of our core meetings. We've had anything from 20 usually to about 50 odd on a Wednesday evening. And, you know, that's kind of what we've been doing. Off the back of that, the people getting saved, people getting Jesus at these meetings, because some of them have got to 12 steps, and we love that. We're like, yes, keep doing that. But then they come and they hear about Jesus. And what we started doing, because I looked into the history of AA, it came straight from the Oxford group that was actually Christian, pure Christ, right? And I thank God that they're seeking and all that, and I love them all. But in the early days, it was believe in Jesus and ask him into your life. So at the end of our meeting, we give a wee chance. So we give a testimony, like Alex shared, you know, and others have shared, and it's a half an hour share. And after that, they all get a chance to speak. And then we give them a wee chance. They want a prayer, just wait in the room. And they call them Zoom babies, but they're God's children, you know what I mean? They're now got Jesus. And that's happened a lot over the past few while, where you give them an opportunity. Do you want to surrender your life to Jesus? He can help you. And we pray with them, and then we get them a Bible, and then we try and get them plugged into a good church. And they've been coming on to our Bible study because they need the word, they're babies, and they need fed on a Thursday morning and that as well. So plus sending folk to rehab, we believe that's great as well. When that fits the person, some of them need to go out their community, but certainly we want Christ-centered stuff in the community. We think that's very real. No, and we don't tell them don't go to your other meetings, but we just, once they believe in Jesus, we want them to get to know who he is, what he's done for them, because he's awesome. Do you know what I mean? They say there's no high like the Most High. Do you know what I mean? At the meetings are taught to seek the higher power. In the big book it says, if you were ever part of a church, go back, but make it real. Go with a newfound fervour. You know, so it can blend in, no bother, can blend in. It shouldn't be against, it's just who the power is. You know what I mean? The power is Jesus Christ and his Holy Spirit that brings the life to us.
Thank you, Charles.
Thanks, Chick. So some of our people attend 12-step fellowship, myself included. But tell us some of the benefits of attending Christ-centred groups and going through a Christ-centred 12-step programme.
Yeah, well, my experience, as I said, Alec, you know, I know yourself, you went into the haven, you got God, and then you got out and went to the meetings. Mine was the opposite. I got clean, gone to meetings, and then get baptised in the Holy Ghost, get Jesus, know what I mean? So, but whatever way you get it, I don't care as long as you get it, you know? But as I say, I've got a lot of family members at meetings, and I love it. I think it's a great means, you know, and the message isn't always just to get you into heaven, but the message can keep you out of hell. You know, the message of the meetings can buy you the rest of your life, because they tell you, you know, you can recover, and the message that they give. And, you know, I've not got a problem with that. I love it because it's helped me. But the message of the gospel is that Jesus wants to be Lord of your life, you know, and he's a person. You know, for a wee while, the higher power worked for me, because when I was young and I stayed in Glasgow, I loved the BBs, man. I was wanting to get baptised when I was in the BPs. Will your anchor hold in the storms of life? So I already knew God. I didn't make up a God. I thought God, I was crying out. So the 12 steps worked for me. It was God, but I really need you. But then he revealed himself to me. He showed me that he died on the cross for me. He showed me that he loved me that much. Do you know what I mean? And I was still involved in the gangs when I was going to meetings. Well, that wasn't what they suggested, but my gang was priming me to take over. Now I was clean. So I needed a real God who told me what was right and wrong. Do you know what I mean? Or else I would have made something up and maybe been money laundering and think that was all right or whatever else. I needed the real God, bro. Do you know what I mean? So when I asked him in, you know, he changed my life and he came right into my life. And then I knew who he was. I knew who he was. I knew how much I was loved. I knew why I was forgiven. A 5th step's amazing. And when you date with a sponsor, I felt totally forgiven. But then when I met with Jesus, I knew because he died on the cross, he bled for me. And that he paid the price for me, basically. So there's all that. You know, there's all that stuff that you can learn through doing a Christ-centred program. You can meditate on the scriptures, you know, and get to know your God. Step 11 is we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with the God as you understand him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for him and the power to carry it out. So if I'm praying and I'm seeking God, surely he wants to tell me who he is, first of all. And that's the difference to a 12-step meeting, Christ-centred. You hear who he is. You hear what he's done for you. And you're not ashamed to use his name. His name is Jesus. Or the Holy Spirit came and I was going to do something. And I felt this, no, don't do it. This wee voice. No, that wee voice we speak about. You can see who he is. It was the Holy Ghost. Do you know what I mean? And that's the beauty I like in it. But it's not to... It's to have the utmost respect for the 12-step meetings and the guys that's doing that. You know, in our preamble, we say many of our members attend other 12-step fellowships and they benefit greatly for doing so. But the thing is, when we see folk and they come to our meetings and they get Christ, we don't just want to leave them, no, them. We want to help them. Enhance their walk with their recovery, but also help them, point them to him. Point them to who he is and try and help them grow as wee babies into a real relationship, plugged into a good church like yours. Bang on. They know how to work with addicts. They know the script. Folk like yourself, Alec, getting raised up, Charlene, that can speak to folk. When they mess up, they're not getting shot down. They're getting, come on, get back up. You can do this. Let's pray with you. Do you know that understanding? Do you know what I mean? The understanding about addiction and all, like, so, you know, it's the nature of it and stuff, and how if you take that one drug, I think the benefits of the Christ-centred meetings. I'll be honest as well. I've sat in AA meetings and I've felt the presence of God, so I'm never going to say I don't, right? But and sometimes in a Jesus-centred recovery meeting, there's an anointing there. And if you don't know what that is, it means you feel the presence of God, right? Now, I felt the presence of God in any means, but I respect their traditions. I'm not going to just go and pray with somebody. I done that at the beginning, you know what I mean? Because I've got respect. But in this Christ-centered one, if you can have a wee bit of ministry as well, where you can pray with folk, they can bring their needs that day. I know you do that with a sponsor, and I respect that. But in a Christ-centered meeting, if somebody's got a need after the share's done, you can pray for that person. We got a wee girl a few weeks ago. I met her at a meeting. I didn't try and bring her away for the meetings. They were like, help her. And she came on the first night and gave her heart to the Lord, right? Now, I worked with a sponsor, right? The cracking lassie, she's buzzing. We worked with her for 4 or 5 weeks, got her into rehab. She's buzzing. She phoned me the other night. They've just read John Edwards' book. We're going to send her the second one. She says, when I talk about Jesus, Charles, I nearly start crying for what he's done for me. Do you know what I mean? So she knows God. And you see that wee guy, lassie, that wee sister of mine, because that's what she is. See, she gets out and she wants to go to meetings. That's brilliant. Do you know what I mean? But we'll try and help her get plugged into a good church, so her roots and her grounding will still be established in Jesus, following on to what they do, you know. So there's many benefits there.
Thanks, Charles. And you did touch on this next question. I was wanting to talk about, tell us about the importance of sort of marrying the two fellowships up, or no separating them, Charles, no.
Yeah.
Tell us about the important thing, getting mixed up, as if the 12-step fellowship is different, or there's any conflicting theologies in it.
Yeah.
The importance of finding a balance between the two.
Yeah, I think a balance is very important, Alec. And no, I'll be honest, you'll get folk at the 12 steps, right? They just misinformation. They'll say, stay away from that, right? When you go to come to God, know them all, right? Some of them. And you'll get Christians that will say, you don't need that now, you're born again, right? So I've tried to find a balance, because I know the 12 steps is really, really good, but I know Jesus is really, really good, and he is all power in heaven and earth, right? So if you're going to meetings, then that's fine, do that. And you can work your program with having Jesus as your higher power. Jesus is your Lord, we say. Do you know what I mean? It becomes Lord of all the areas that you speak about in the program, your sexual conduct, your honesty. You know what I mean? We are heavy dishonest as addicts, so it helps you with that. And the thing about Jesus, right? See, when you get him, it's not even you trying to date yourself. I mean, I was a drug dealer. When Jesus came in, I went right back to my gang and said, I'm finished. He's real. He's alive. I'm going to serve him. They thought I'd flipped it. No, they thought he's giving away all his money. And I just wanted to make amends, because the 12 steps taught that. But Jesus gave me the power to do that. Do you know what I mean? Already all my ill-gotten gate, but all my knives, all the stuff that was wrong, Jesus gave me the power to work my program diligently. Weigh the power to go and tell them I'm finished. That courage they talk about in the program, he gave me the courage. When you're doing your step 11, you're praying, you're even weeping it because of how good he's been to you. It's a real power. So I think that they can work together. What some folk do is they maybe come away from meetings, right? And they've not got a real grounding in God, and God hasn't told them to do that. Maybe somebody has, and that can be dangerous, right? Because they end up in a no man's land, and they've not got the right Christian support. Now, some folk can come away from meetings because there's a call on their life. They're maybe called into ministry, and that's what they want to do. But for me, it was never a bad experience. I always say it was a great experience. I still go to meetings now and again, but I know the call's on my life to oversee broken chains, to speak in churches and all that. The gospel's for the whosoever, but the meetings are mostly for addicts. Do you know what I mean? But certainly, I would say the best thing to stop that confusion is good mentoring, right? With guys like yourself, Alec, that understand the 12 steps is a great thing, and to encourage it, but also to lead folk deeper into Jesus. I think that when folk get mixed messages, some folk think I'm not an addict, right? Me, Terry McCutcheon says that I'm born again, and that means I'm not an addict anymore. I'm not, doesn't he? He says I'm a tomato's a fruit, but you wouldn't put it in a fruit salad. Do you know what I mean? Just because you're a new creation doesn't mean you can take drugs. So that's why when you get your first step, you know, I can't use drugs again safely. And that should always be with you. You never recover to the fact you can take drugs, I don't think. That's what keeps me recovered. Jesus sets me free so that I can live my life for him, you know. So there's a lot of positive in having the Lord as the power, you know. But I think you need to navigate that way, you know. The big book and the 12 and 12, I've been through the two of them, you know, and even as a Christian, I went through the 12 and 12 when I was getting a wee bit, you know, my wee daughter went through operations and stuff. Then I went through also, I went through also the Celebrate recovery as well, which is really good, and that's Christ-centered, you know. So I think anybody who's on that journey, the best thing is to get Jesus in your life and ask him to guide you and into a good church, and you can still do your meetings. Do you know what I mean? It's the Lord should be the author and finisher of our faith. And however that looks on a daily basis, sometimes you cut away for doing a couple of meetings because you want to do some more Christ-centered stuff, and that's fine. If your sponsor's all right with that, then they should be looking, is this helping that person? It's when it doesn't help you and you end up isolated and relapsing. No folk go, I'm not got, you know what I mean, Alec? They end up seeing fault in different things and then they end up no well themselves. I've seen that a few times. Or I've seen folk just embrace the Lord and help folk and sponsor folk at meetings. There you go, you know.
Thanks, Charles. It's been really helpful. I was wondering, just for a wee minute at the end, could you tell us about Celebrate Recovery, Charles? What is it?
Yeah, I put that in mute, by the way. Celebrate is a Christ-centered programme with its foundations firmly fixed in biblical truth. I'm quoting for the book, by the way, but that's what it is basically. So instead of the big book, which I love, is I believe was divinely given to Bill and Dr. Bob, was great. It helped so many people, you know. But this one brings it back to the biblical interpretation of recovery, and it takes it for the Beatitudes, the beautiful attitudes, as we say. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. The Beatitudes. The book of James, which is a practical book. Don't walk by somebody and say, God bless you, go and feed the guy, and then he might listen to you. No, that's the book of James. It's practical Christianity. Faith without works is dead in the big book. That's came for the Bible. So most of the steps, maybe apart from step one, but Paul says, the things I do not want to do, and the very thing that I wanted to end up not doing. Oh, wretched man that I am. That's like step one. You know, we don't have the power to stop, and we're in, we can try, but we end up relapsing. So we need the power of God. We need the power of the Holy Spirit to help us accept that. And then the rest of the program, you do an inventory, you share it with a closed-mouth friend and God, and you get forgiven, you get set free, you get healed. The good thing about it is when you're doing it, and you get some great sponsors in the meetings, by the way, great sponsors. I've got family members and they're on the ball, and I can phone them at any time and speak to them. But the thing about Christ-centered recovery, when you're going through a program like that, and you can do it for anything, not just drug addiction, you can do it for gambling, you can do it for mental health problems, a lot of stuff like that, you know. And when you're going through it, as you're sharing it, you can be praying for the healing with the person and that as well. But and once you get through to like step 10 and 11, it tells you to get plugged into an understanding church. And it actually tells you still go to your recovery meetings, because you've got to be light and salt round about they people. They're people that love you and stuff like that as well, you know. So, and then it talks about meditating on God's word daily. You know, growing in your understanding of how much God loves you and keeping it real with the Jesus deal, that kind of stuff. And then step 10 is you're giving it away. You're going and sponsoring others. You're going and mentoring others. You're going and helping others. Look, we're hopefully doing the day when this goes out to anybody that's struggling, you know, or maybe thinking, I've not really got an understanding of higher power. You know, God loves you. And that Jesus says, come unto me, all you who labour and are heavy laden. You're heavy labour and you're heavy laden in addiction. And he takes all that off you and gives you his life and his love. So that's kind of what the programme does. I went through the big book and I prayed because the sponsor I had was a great guy, but he wasn't understanding because I became a Christian. And I prayed in Irvine, God, please bring me somebody in my path. A guy turned up the next day, 20 years sober. He was a Christian, and I asked him to mentor me, and that's who took me through Celebrate Recovery. You know, so it is a really good program. But a program is just really a guide to get you there, right? But it's a person that we want to share, and the person is Jesus. You know, but the program is, we're very undisciplined people, and it helps you get the disciplines daily and grow in your understanding. You know, and then helps you share it in the right way. Alex, you know, you don't want to be scaring folk away, chasing them up the street with a Bible. I've done that, do you know what I mean? But you learn to just love them. Do you know what I mean? Just love them. And then when they open up to understanding, you can tell them your story and the love that you've had. And then they're like, no, I want that. Do you know what I mean? You see them thriving, you see them getting their wains back, you see their lives being restored. Do you know what I mean? They ask you to be their best men at their wedding. It's amazing, do you know?
Thanks, Charles. That's absolutely amazing. So just before we finish, I'm going to ask if Charlene will pray for you, Charles, in your ministry, and for all the people that are coming to your recovery meetings, and then they would come to know Christ deeper and deeper. So thanks very much for sharing with us, Charles. We love you up in Parkhead. We love having you with us, and you're a mentor to me. So Charlene will pray for you.
Thanks.
Lord, we just thank you for Charles and his family and all that they do for the ministry in Ayr. I thank you that he's a role model for my husband as well, and that we can learn from him. Lord, I just pray that you would bless him in his ministry, give him the tools that he needs, whether it be finances or whatever he needs. Lord, you know. I pray that you would continue to guide him in his ministry, and that he would go on and continue to help so many people and bring all these families to know you, Lord. And we ourselves have experienced that, Lord, so I know just how great it is and the blessing that it is. So, Lord, I pray that Charles would keep going out and shining a light and helping people come together again and get to know you, Lord, and their lives would be saved. And I just pray for these Jesus-centered meetings, that they would be a blessing to everyone that comes to them, Lord. And I just pray that you would bless Alex as he goes to lead these meetings. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, guys.
Your grace is enough, more than I need. At your word I will believe. I wait for you, draw near again. Let your spirit make me new, and I will fall at your feet. I will fall at your feet, and I will worship you here. Your presence in me, Jesus, light the way. By the power of your word, I am restored, I am redeemed. By your spirit I am free, and I will fall at your feet. I will fall at and I will worship you here. And I will fall at your feet. I will fall at your feet, and I will worship you here. Freely you gave it all for us, surrendered your life upon that cross. Great is your love, poured out for all. This is our God, lifted on high from death to life. Forever our God is glorified. Servant and King, rescued the world. This is our God.